Boom,
Welcome
boom,
in,
boom,
everybody,
boom,
to
boom,
another
boom,
episode of
boom,
MLS
boom.
Monday by Scarves and Spikes. It is Tyler and Sydney here with y'all, and
Love that music.
it's a banger. It's been a busy week and a busy weekend. Leagues Cup going on, obviously. The transfer window is in absolute full silly season as we
Just
speak.
a little.
Got some big ones to talk about, which we're going to dive into, and just MLS as a whole. So we're going to get you guys kind of up to date with all the latest from the week. Also, we are streaming to TikTok for the first
Maybe.
time. Maybe we'll see. I don't know.
Maybe.
Technical difficulties aside, we
Join-
should be possibly.
Yeah, by the way, we are on TikTok. Join us there, Scarves and Spikes. We're easy to find. So we're trying to stream on TikTok. We're trying to stream on TikTok, trying to do our shows on there to reach a Gen Z audience, as it were, Tyler, which none of us are.
I mean, Henry, young Henry,
Yeah,
who is not here.
definitely
He is.
very much Gen Z.
Yeah. He is out celebrating. His birthday was a few days ago, so happy belated birthday to him. But
Yeah.
he's got some like many Hispanic families do. When you have a birthday, you celebrate it for the week before, the day of, and then the week after.
Yeah, you should know your wife is Hispanic,
Yep.
Latina. So
Yep, she is Puerto Rican, and having a family of 6, we pretty much are celebrating birthdays all year.
yeah.
All right. So I guess the big news, let's start with it. We have some transfer window stuff.
Yes.
I don't want to say shenanigans because these are pretty legit, but they're big names. And we talked
Yeah.
about a little bit of them last week, and then we have one drop today. But I guess let's start with the big one. Let's dive
Yeah,
in.
so Charlotte FC signed left back, reportedly signed left back Harry Toffolo, according to Tom Boger. Oh, you're talking about something else.
I was talking about the big one, mate. Let's
you're talking about the big one.
Do it. Go ahead.
No, obviously we're talking about HEUNG-MIN Son. The news is that pretty much it's a done deal. I's dotted, T's crossed. All that's left is to announce it on LAFC's side. You know, of course, Son, we mentioned it last week. We've mentioned it before. Legend with Spurs, tremendous career with Spurs, and not much more you can say about what he's meant to Spurs, what he's meant to that club, that organization. Obviously, Tyler, you know, it's not always been highs for Spurs. I mean, more or less than highs, I would say. Of course, winning the Europa League last season was kind of a accomplishment for them, but he was part of that. He was part of really a lot of the high moments for Spurs over the past decade plus, and now he's coming to MLS. $26 million deal, it sounds like, Tyler, to come to MLS.
Yeah.
Almost a record, or pretty close to the record for an MLS player, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, and I kind of talked about it last week, but it's going to be interesting to see the culture, kind of how he arrives in LA. Obviously, a very big Korean population in Los Angeles, and you even have LA Galaxy fans complimenting LAFC's front office for this move, which is, if you're not as in tune with that rivalry in Derby, which, I mean, on paper it's pretty obvious they don't like each other, but like they don't talk nice about each other, period.
Right.
It's like a good old fashioned, North London Derby. So it's funny because coming from where he was with the Spurs and, the Arsenal, like the other derbies that happened, he's going to fit right in and feel right at home with, I think, a good El Tráfico. But, the guy, he's a little bit different, right? Like I talked last week about how he travels, he goes to the training ground with essentially an entourage.
Yeah.
He
pretty much no different than
secretary.
Pretty much no different than any celebrity in LA.
Any celebrity in LA, yeah. But I mean, he has his own secretary that essentially fields everything for him. And it's not that he's not a super nice guy by all accounts and in all respects, everything. Like, he is an incredible, humble man. He's just a little different with the way that he kind of goes about his business. And that's fine. Guys worshipped in South Korea. We know this.
Yeah.
I think he's instantly going to become a sensation in LA. And I think he will probably naturally draw some fans who have not been into MLS that much in
Yeah.
MLS just from the Korean population and that connection and how much he's loved in that country.
And absolutely, absolutely, I agree with that 100%. Talking on the field as well, of course, you bring him in to be a winner, and
Mhm.
of course, his reputation precedes him based on what he's done with Spurs, based on what he's done in the Premier League. But MLS is a whole new league, different league, definitely much more parity than there is in the Premier League. It's not like City and everybody else or Team X and everybody else. It's a parity league. Pretty much any number of teams who spend adequate amounts of money can win in MLS. And near term, let's talk about near term. You look at LAFC is what I'm trying to say. You look at LAFC season thus far. Right now, they're in sixth place in the Western Conference. They're 2 points out of fourth place, though, and six right now. It doesn't seem like their season's been up and down, but they've never really been able to get things going the way that they want to at LAFC. If Son can have the immediate impact that LAFC hopes he can have, that the front office hopes that he can have whenever he starts with the team, wherever he comes on board with the team, gets his visa and all of that, could LAFC be the favorite in the West? I mean, I really think they could, depending on how things go, depending on how he gets on with Bwanga, things like that. But maybe LAFC could be a team to be reckoned with in the Western Conference.
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you look at this LAFC team, considering who all they have, you kinda have to consistently keep them near the top in the rankings if they don't do anything to shoot themselves in the foot. For example,
Yeah.
Atlanta United, overall, the most expensive signing up until this, if this is actually 26,000,000 in terms of an incoming transfer fee.
Yeah.
Um, that on paper should put them near the top, right? But we all have seen how that has gone this season. It's not worked out quite well. But I say that to say LAFC, for what they're doing, for the talent they already have there, you have Denny Bwanga. You have to figure out how, he's going to work with Son and
Yeah.
how the other pieces are going to fit. Of course, Son also having his moment again with Hugo Lloris. So you have these kind of cool moments that are going to happen here, but also like they have to go and start moving up the standings. But I do agree. I think when you have that kind of talent, when you have a guy like Son, who his work ethic, his work rate is second to none.
Yeah.
Uh, Combine that with an already fairly successful LAFC team this year, then you've got a recipe to easily be in the top three, I'll say.
Yeah, and you mentioned Lloris. They obviously know each other, had been teammates on Spurs for a while. I'm sure I mentioned this last week. I'm sure the two of them have had myriad conversations about what's MLS like, what's LA like, what's the culture like, what's Steve Cherundolo like, what are the teammates like. I mean, I'm sure those conversations, those text threads, WhatsApp, whatever, have been going back and forth over the past several weeks as Son has really thought about what his future is as a player. And I'll throw this out there too. He's 33 years old, so not an old player. He's not ancient or anything like that. But I mean, you look at Mueller, who's obviously a few years older, signing with Vancouver, not official yet, but pretty much it's all but done. But he still has a few years in front of him. I don't know what we haven't seen what this contract, the length of this contract would be with LAFC. I would say the next 2 or 3 years or something like that. That'll take him to age 36. And by then he could say, hey, I want to retire with LAFC, or maybe he goes back home to South Korea with a club and sort of plays a final season, has his testimonial match, and retires into the sunset. No pun intended. But talking about long term though, remember Steve Cherundolo is leaving after this season, so this I feel like makes LAFC a destination club. Next step is who they bring in as that new manager. Do they go for, I don't know, maybe a lower or a experienced manager who knows MLS, or do they shoot for the stars and bring in somebody from overseas? You look at Steve Cherundolo, right? He's been the manager who brought the club their first trophy, of course, winning MLS Cup. But he's not criticism this season, right? He's not shown the fire. He's not shown the passion that LAFC fans want him to show. And granted, he's always been pretty even keeled guy. I don't think I've ever seen him really get after it against referee or anything like that. He's very even tempered, but even so, LAFC fans want more. They want him to really show a little more fire, a little more passion. So I think this has a really good long term benefit for LAFC. And let's see who else they bring in coming up. Not this summer transfer window, but in the winter as well, as you look to reload and look to come out the gate strong in 2026 as one of the top teams of the Western Conference.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, the thing is, LA, just by the sheer fact that it is Los Angeles, is, I think, always going to give it a little bit of an edge in terms of drawing players in.
Yeah.
It's the city, it's the culture, right? It's the same thing as Miami. You have that beautiful weather, you have the kind of star-studded, lifestyle. I would say nightlife. Maybe that's not necessarily what we're talking about here for soccer players, but
Right.
it's what, it's got that extra gleam to it, right? New York, to a degree, I think will definitely take a bigger step in that direction when they finally get their own stadium in a couple of seasons. But
Yeah.
I mean, and then in Atlanta is absolutely working on that draw, but especially because you have the Benz. So like there are a handful of clubs that players are naturally going to gravitate towards if their ownership group tries to make these moves happen.
Yeah.
And I see, like, in the chat, Brian, he's saying, meanwhile in Atlanta, Brian's a little frustrated about, this front office not going after certain players. Dylan saying the same thing. Like, who else has a big Korean population? Atlanta.
Right.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I think each front office is different. Each front office is going to go after who they want to go after in terms of whether it's the big names or whatever. But like in a city like Los Angeles, it's going to be easier. So I think, from here going forward, LA doesn't need to be done. They're going to have to continue to make moves and get the guys around Son who are going to complement him. And I think also again, I mentioned it a minute ago, but it does call into question, like Denny Bouanga has mentioned wanting to leave before. And he does attract interest because he's a great player. Does he end up leaving sooner than later? And maybe Son just naturally drops back into that kind of left wing position that he's played so well for so long. And then you go spend more money on actual striker, a target forward or whatever else you might need, a midfielder.
Yeah, and just quickly, they have another DP slot left. Of course, Bouanga is their DP. Son will take up a DP slot, and Cengiz Unda was their other DP, but he's back with Fenerbahce and Turkey. So they have the U20 or DP slot left. Do they go after their DP, or do they say, hey, let's have Bouanga and Son as our DPs, and then let's add a U22 to the mix, a player that we think that can really make things happen for us from the U22 route? And it's worked. It's worked in other teams. It's worked. I mean, look no further. Yeah, it's definitely worked. And can you bring in a player that can, like he said, really push this team over the line? But Son is certainly a good start. And again, it makes LAC a destination. Who wouldn't want to play with HEUNG-MIN Son? So interested to see, like you were saying, what moves they make. Not only short term, maybe they add a piece or two in the summer transfer window, but certainly the winter transfer window when they look toward 2026 fully.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we jump into the next really recent, really big transfer news in the league, you can verify that we are actually live on TikTok.
Yes.
Not something I thought I would say anytime in my life. But here we are. So if
You're
this is your
live.
first time seeing us, by the way, welcome. This is Scarves and Spikes. We have a website. We have a YouTube channel. You should go do all that. Go subscribe to the
Smash the
YouTube
like.
channel. Yeah, smash the like button. Do the whole thing. Go to the website. Go to the shop. Get you guys a cool coffee mug or beer glass or whatever other merch you feel like hopping on. After today, you might need a hoodie because, wow, the weather in Atlanta actually felt good for once.
I know.
But, so welcome, fellow TikTokers.
Incredible.
Yeah, I know, right? Anyway, yes, but welcome, though, for real. This is your first time. Thank you for joining us and hang out with us for the rest of the week because we have other shows as well. So All right, other one. Now, this was another cash for trade or cash, whatever, cash for whatever we're calling them
Cash for
nowadays.
player trade.
Yeah. This happened today and kind of out of nowhere, right? Like it kind of popped up,
Yeah,
I think, out of left field this morning, and
yeah,
that's pretty rare nowadays. Djordje Mihailovic
yeah,
on his way to Toronto.
yeah. That's like you said. That's pretty surprising because he was in pretty good form with the Rapids throughout this season. I believe 9 goals, 5 assists. I think it was at last check that Mihailovic was on for this season. Look, if you look at Colorado at this point, they're kind of keeping their heads above the water. They are on 30 points, 1 point up on San Jose for the ninth and final playoff spot in the Western Conference. So it's a bit of a puzzling move. Did Mihailovic want more money? I mean, he's under a contract to 2027. So did he still want a pay raise to say, hey, I want more money? If you don't give me more money or you don't give me a move that I want, then I want out. But it's kind of been a interesting past few weeks, hasn't it, for the Rapids? Kevin Cabral, they parted ways with, and add the Rapids to the latest failed team that Kevin Cabral has, or the latest team that Kevin Cabral has failed with, along with LA. Now Mihailovic is gone. Instead of Rafael Navarro as a DP, but where do you go from here? Like, what moves does the Rapids make, or what moves do the Rapids make to really push them over the top? This is really, Tyler. I'm looking at the Western Conference playoff picture. I mentioned Colorado are on 30 points, one ahead of San Jose, who has 29. Right above Colorado, their Rocky Mountain Derby partner, RSL 31, Austin 33, and 7th. So between 7th and 10th, that's 4 points separating them. And then Houston is still ahead at 27. So 8 points separating 7th and 11th in the Western Conference. Really puzzled by this move by the Rapids. You have to think there's something coming, right? Another move, another big move for them, I guess, to counteract this
Yeah.
trade of Mihailovic.
I,
I
you
don't
know,
know if I really understand it.
I don't either. I mean, I think I'll I'll, I'll kind of go back to what I said earlier in the season because you kind of touched on it.
Yeah,
But when the Columbus Crew acquired Gazdag, I said the same thing when he came from Philly.
yeah,
I was like, you would think that they wouldn't do this without having kind of a backup plan or I don't even want to say a backup plan, a plan A and a plan B to replace him
right.
or change something around, right? Like you would think that they would have something going on. I'd say the same thing about this. Djordje Mihailovic has been quite literally their highest rated player all season,
Yeah,
and it's not even close. This is not the time to punt the season when you're literally at the playoff line unless you and I'm not saying they're punting the season, but you don't make a move like this unless, again, A,
right.
you have a replacement that you are really, really banking on, or B, you have cojones of steel. I don't think that this is the proper move again, unless
Yeah,
you've got a serious idea of what you're doing. And I gotta say, they've done well this year, but the Colorado Rapids transfer history has not exactly been stellar over
yeah,
the years.
yeah. And Stan Kroenke, the owner of the Rapids, have been really a kind of really not a controversial figure, but a really disliked figure in
Yeah,
Colorado. And this is, I'm just taking a look at the social media samplings of, hey, why did the Rapids do this? What's Stan Kroenke doing in his family? What are they doing? It just shows that he doesn't care about the Rapids. But I'm just trying to square up why this move happened. Like you said, like we said, they're right in the playoff race, and this is the time to be adding players that can help you. We don't know the return, obviously, but I'm sure it's just money at this point. It's not a player that the Rapids are getting; it's money. So interested to see what moves the Rapids make, if any. Now, taking a look at TFC, I mean, their intentions are clear. They're looking to build for 2026 and beyond. The 2025 season is pretty much lost. They're closer to spoon than a playoff spot right now. So can they end on a high note? Can Mihailovic help them end on a high note? Give yourself positive momentum for 2026. I'll add, Tyler, they have a DP slot left with Bernadeschi and Insigne gone. Do they stay with the U22 or 4U22 2DP sort of system that they've been doing already, or do they go 3-3? I'm interested to see how TFC does, what they do to really push themselves along and return that club to glory, because a few years ago, this was a team that was, in MLS Cup contention, in MLS Cup, winning MLS Cup, and now it's a shell of its former self.
What team are we talking about again?
Yeah, exactly. That could apply to Atlanta United as well.
No, I mean, I think from the Colorado perspective, yeah, I mean, you have essentially two guys on the roster right now who could consistently play that position. One's Sam Bassett, one's Alex Harris. Alex Harris is a 20-year-old who hasn't really been getting that consistent. I mean, you don't have anybody that's playing that attacking midfield position on a consistent basis besides Djordje Mihailovic. It's weird. Jumping over to Toronto, I don't know how to even begin to think or predict how they're going to play this one out, because they've been so wild this year. I mean, you fire your coach, I'm sorry, I'm tripping.
No, they still have their coach.
I'm thinking of Montreal. I'm getting
Montreal. Yeah,
but no, I mean, you go earlier this summer, and yeah, you remove your two Italians who had, I would say, been a complete bust.
Yeah.
And then you've just kind of been very up and down, very inconsistent. And as far as a kind of a direction that they would go, I mean, it's not that they necessarily have problems spending money. So the last two times that they spent tons of money on DPs, it's bit them in the rear end. Right. So I wouldn't be surprised if they want to use their scouting and go the 2DP 4U22 route. Like, I think I would like to see some more MLS teams try that. I like the gamble. I didn't like the gamble when you didn't have that capability, because you get kind of stuck.
Yeah.
But if you have a team that says, all right, we've got two guys, we know that these are the two main DPs we want, we're going to go gamble on a handful of U22s. We're really going to cast that wide net, and we'll, spend a little bit of money initially, but of course the cap hit is very minimal for U22s, and see what they can do. And again, it's a low risk, potentially high reward. Best case scenario, you find a couple of guys in those U22 slots that get to stick around long term, and or you sell them for a massive profit. Worst case scenario, you had a couple of guys on the roster that took up some space, but you shouldn't be relying on them necessarily to be starters in every match. That was the folly of some other MLS teams in the past. So I say all that to say I would like to see Toronto, because they're in the perfect position to do it, to try to go that route. But I have no idea what that ownership group ever wants to do. So
right. And just going back to Colorado real quick, you have some decisions to make in the offseason. We talked about Kevin Cabral. They parted ways with him. Chudo Waziam, he was in the contract year, but he's with Nantes in France right now. Mexe, who is also a TAM player, out of contract after this season, has an option for next year. And then several other players on the roster who are out of contract this season or have a contract or options coming up. Sam Bassett on an option for the next 3 years. Cole Bassett locked up in 2027. Ted Kudipietro is what I'm trying to say. There are other U22 locked up 2027 to 2028 option. Same with Josh Atencio. But you have other players, younger players, that you have decisions to make on. And, what is the direction that Rapids want to go in? So I'm interested to see, what happens with them. Is this a team that really wants to compete in the Western Conference? I'm not sure it is at this point. And then TFC, going back to them just quickly, again, this is an ownership group that has been successful with this team not too long ago. And, the bottom has kind of fallen out, but maybe with Djordje Mihailovic, and maybe with other signings that may be incoming for them. I haven't seen anyone else linked to them at this point, but you have to think that others are linked to Toronto FC looking to come onto this project. Gonna be an interesting off season for TFC. Gonna be an interesting summer transfer window, I think, for TFC as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's what you're seeing with a lot of these summer transfer signings, and not just signings, but the guys that are on their way out. It's really setting up what I think is going to be a super intriguing winter window for a lot of teams, because you end up, if it were to end right now, there are, I don't know, probably 10 MLS teams that just don't feel like they're complete at this point.
Right.
And maybe that's kind of the weird thing about how MLS's transfer windows are laid out compared to other leagues. But right now, it feels like there are missing pieces for a handful of teams. I mean, we talked about LAFC.
Yeah.
What happens there? I don't feel like just because you bring in Son that you are a complete team at this point. I still think you need things to happen. Toronto, obviously. Colorado now, because of this trade, like it definitely takes a massive piece out of their roster. I think Seattle, we're going to talk about Seattle in a little bit, and as well as they are playing and as good as they're doing and everything that they're making happen, I don't feel like they're a complete roster at this point, because you have a striker that you brought in who's been an absolute bust so far. Atlanta, we've documented this plenty on this show and obviously in our normal Atlanta shows, so I won't even go there. But I just think you're setting up a really, really potentially really neat winter transfer window. So we'll see.
Yes, we will. I just muted myself. I don't know why. I don't know, I clicked mute for whatever reason. Do we want to talk about our favorite moment of the week? It's going to be kind of weird because there's been MLS, only Leagues Cup, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But what is your favorite moment of, I guess, Leagues Cup so far?
So mine is not so much an event as much as it is a location. Because I think it was absolute crap show in every sense of the word. The happiest place on earth turned into the pit of misery in so many ways. And I'm not just talking about Atlanta.
Right.
You had a doubleheader here. And I'm gonna take, because Tommy had mentioned he might hop on tonight to go on a little rant.
We'll see.
He just texted and said he's currently shirtless, so he's probably not going to make that rant. I will make this rant for him. And you're asking, why would you say this is your favorite moment of the week? And you're about to get angry. Because I think it just highlights how many shortcomings are involved with not only Leagues Cup, which I genuinely enjoy, but also refereeing as a whole.
Oh, boy.
And I know referees have the short end of the stick. I'm giving all my caveats ahead of time.
Yeah.
But what happened in Orlando with this doubleheader was absolutely embarrassing. And if you haven't seen our whole thing on it, go check out the YouTube channel. Yeah. But you have refereeing that's so bad that the league announcers at the end of the first half of the what was
Orlando?
The Orlando.
Yeah.
God, I can't remember.
Atlas.
Yeah. Orlando Atlas match.
Yeah.
They were essentially saying this has been very inconsistent in the nicest way possible. And then at the end of the Orlando Atlas match, you have a whole crap show. And it didn't really make it that much to the broadcast, but you had a full-on, knockdown, drag-out type situation going on.
Right.
Fast forward, an hour after that for the Atlanta Pumas match, and
feel like
We'll
it's
stick
about
with the
hour stoppage time.
inconsistency. Yeah, we'll
For
stick with
Orlando
the
Atlas.
inconsistency. And then you get to the end of the match and you have Keylor Navas, who gets a straight red, who takes well over 5 or 6 minutes to get off the pitch.
Yeah.
And during this time is I don't even say walking. He's meandering backwards
Yeah.
off the pitch in the longest way possible. And he is still setting up his wall for
Right.
his outfield player turned goalkeeper who is now having to play that position. And he's helping line everybody up. And the ref is just standing there.
Right.
Again, if you haven't seen the short, go to our YouTube. You can check it out. We were all pretty pissed. This happened. This went on for like 10 minutes almost. This
Right.
whole stop.
Embarrassing.
And then you have one free kick that happens after that, and the whistle's pretty much blown. None of that time was added back. So I say all that to say, my favorite moment of the week was seeing Orlando continue to be the biggest crap show in MLS. Not because their team sucked, not because their team made me upset, but because Orlando just has to be the place where the seventh circle of hell opens and all crap is let loose, because that's what happened.
I know you're a big fan of Orlando City and Orlando City fans.
Yes. Sorry, Orlando City fans. This is our MLS podcast, so I'm not talking too much crap, but
when I say you're a fan, I mean not a fan at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go Lions.
Right. I'll give you my favorite moment of the week. Pedro de la Vega. Say it again.
I said I hope yours is happier.
It is. Pedro de la Vega has been on really good form over the past few matches. He usually plays right wing for the Seattle Sounders, and that hasn't worked out. Really, his whole entire time with the Sounders hasn't worked out the way that the Sounders had hoped it would since they signed him. He dealt with injury last year, dealt with a little injury this season as well. But over the past few matches, he's been just some kind of form. Brian Schmetzer moved him over to the left wing, and since he moved to the left wing, he's just been a whole new player. And that goal he scored against Cruz Azul the other night was fantastic. I mean, the ball comes his way. He hits it first time volley right into the back of the net. I mean, just a classy goal. So I think it will definitely stand up as the goal of the tournament. One of the goals of the year, really.
100%.
CONCACAF club.
Contender.
Yeah. It might be up there. I don't know if it will make it quite, but it might be up there. But give him credit. It was a terrific goal. Just beautifully taken. I mean, just the audacity and the skill to take that first time on the volley and not even get it closer than that, but put it right into the back of the net. It's just
he hit the bar on the inside. Like he kissed it perfectly.
Wow. But it just shows, he's just in incredible form. And I think kind of taking that onto the rest of the year for the Sounders. I mean, look out, because Pedro de la Vega, if he can continue this form, the Sounders team is going to be a tough out in the postseason. And yeah, it's just a classic goal by De La Vega. I encourage you, if you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. It is a really, really good goal. Again, it's going to be the goal of the tournament and Leagues Cup, and certainly one of the goals of the year scored by an MLS player, depending on competition.
Yeah.
Just fantastic goal.
So what you're saying is when you play a player in their right position, that's wild.
Pretty interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. I will say this, and this is not to take anything away from De La Vega at all. The audacity to hit something like that is much easier when you're winning as well as Seattle was in that game.
Right.
But again, that is a hit, because you think about the way that the ball came in. This was a big switch from the right flank over to the left, and he is far left of the goal, hits it first time back towards goal. So this ball literally went from right to left, back to the right.
Wow.
And it kissed the inside of that post
beautiful
perfectly. Goal. I mean, you couldn't hit a ball any more perfect than that one. And that's why I'm like, okay, that might win an award because there's just so many little things about it. The angle that it was coming in, how close it was. Like, man, that was chef's kiss.
And you said it. It's like 6-0 at that point. He makes
Yeah,
it 7-0. I mean, you're less likely to try stuff when it's like 1-0 or 1-1. But yeah, hats off to Pedro de la Vega for a
yeah,
fantastic goal. My favorite moment of the week.
for sure.
And MLS and Leagues Cup.
Yeah. And speaking of Leagues Cup,
Good segue.
yeah, it was a very good segue. We've definitely touched on a lot of things. We've hit all around a lot of things, but I guess we'll dive in. Speaking of Seattle and Portland and the Cascadia region,
Interesting.
yeah, are they in Leagues Cup the front runners at this point? They are the only two MLS teams,
Yeah,
on 6 points.
can't do better than that. No, but if you
Perfect so
look,
far.
yeah, but just looking at how they've gotten to this point, we mentioned Seattle 7-0 over Cruz Azul, beat Santos Laguna 2-1. Portland, their path to the top of the table has been pretty much straightforward as well. Hasn't conceded yet this tournament. They beat Atlético San Luis 4-0, Querétaro 1-0 in their 2 matches. Sounders have Cholos coming up. Cholos are in 3 points. Timbers play America. America are having a tough time of it. They drew RSL 2-2, but lost in penalties. Then you drew Minnesota 3-3. They lost in penalties in that one. Or I could have that wrong. I think I have that wrong. They beat them in penalties. I'm sorry. They beat Minnesota in penalties. Or wait a minute. I'm sorry. Yeah, they did beat Minnesota in penalties.
Yeah,
I was
yeah, you
right.
got it.
I have it wrong in the notes. But yeah, America, I mean, obviously they're a big club, but one of the biggest clubs in the continent and the hemisphere. This is unacceptable for them. So, they'll be coming out with their hair on fire against the Timbers and the Sounders. I mean, you have to feel like you pretty much fancy your chances if you're the Sounders against Cholos, right? Because Cholos, they lost to Galaxy 5-2. Then they bounced back to beat the Rapids 2-1. So it's not been particularly the best tournament for Cholos Tijuana. But if you're the Sounders, I feel like you have plenty of confidence. And, again, going into this mess against Cholos, you have to fancy your chances if you're a Sounders fan or a Sounders player that you'll make it 9 points. But even then, Tyler, well, actually, no, I'm sorry. But yeah, I mean, if you win, you're in, right? Portland, same thing. If you win, you're
100%.
in. No one can catch you. So sets up pretty good for them, I think.
Yeah, and then I think on the other side of that, you're talking about Portland and Club America. I'm doing this quick math in my head, but so
Yeah.
on the Liga MX side of the table, you have Tigres up top with a full 6. Then you have 4 teams with 5 points, and that
Yeah.
is Juarez, Mazatlan, Pumas, and Toluca.
Yeah.
Club America sitting down on 3 points. So there is a world where if Club America beats Portland and they would need to at least score 2 goals or have a +2 goal differential anyway.
Right.
And either Pumas or Toluca lose, they could sneak in. Actually, it'd have to be Pumas. So
I actually have the permutations for America. Juarez needs to drop points and remain below 6 points. Mazatlan, Toluca, Pumas, they need to stay where they are right now. But then Necaxa, Pachuca, Puebla, Cholos, they need to drop points. So Seattle could help Portland. I mean, Seattle could help America get into the top 4 in Liga MX. And by the way, just to refresh, top 4 teams in each league go on to the knockout stage. So it's not as straightforward as that because you have tiebreakers, wins in regulation, goal differential, most goals scored, fewest goals conceded are the top 4 tiebreakers. And then there are others that I don't know if we'll get to. But yeah, it's still up for grabs. And Seattle, again, if they win, they're in. I feel like, too, a regulation or drawing and winning in penalties, both of them, they're in as well, depending on how other matches go.
yeah. And then up there, I mean, with them, you're talking about Tigres at the top, Juarez, Mazatlan, Pumas. The one that's going to be very interesting to me, and we're going to talk about it here in a second, but it is that Pumas match with Inter Miami, because Inter Miami are sitting on 5 points on the MLS side of the table, but they haven't been convincing.
No.
They have not been convincing at all.
Nope.
And now you add in the fact that Lionel Messi is injured.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you said it. You know, their one win against Atlas, but then Shayla Wiegand gets a goal. It's looked at, I think, VAR, and then it stands up, and then Djordje scores late against Necaxa, and they win it 5-4 in penalties. So the ball bounces a different way, Tyler. This team could have, I mean, 4 points at this point in time, or 4 points at this point in time, or even 3 points at this point in time. So, like you said, Inter Miami haven't been convincing this tournament, but again, they play Pumas on Tuesday. If you win, you're in. How do they handle the absence of Messi is the big one. Suarez, he scored from the spot, but he's been pretty poor form, in open play, finding the back of the net. Can he step his game up? You have Allende, you have, Kremaski. How does those players factor into things if you're Inter Miami looking to get on 8 points and get yourself into the next round? You could make it on 6 points, but it's a lot more difficult because you have so many teams that are on 4 points. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. That could leapfrog you if a couple of them win. So it's pretty much win or else for win in regulation, should say, or else for Inter Miami. If you draw and win in penalties, you're on 7 points, but then Sounders are on 6, Portland are on 6, Minnesota, Galaxy, Columbus, Orlando, Cincy, Red Bulls are on 4. And, you don't want to leave it up to other results outside of what you can do to get you to the next round. So their objective is clear with or without Messi coming up against Pumas.
Yeah. And you kind of touched on it, but I think it's interesting because the Liga MX side of the table is a little more straightforward. I mean, there's still plenty that could happen. But the MLS side, like from first all the way down until, I mean, honestly, what is currently 13th, you still could have things happen, but realistically,
you need a lot to happen.
Realistically, down to 9th, though, because you have teams all the way down to 9th with 4 points, and depending on what happens above them, one win could technically push them high enough to get in, possibly. Again, goal differential is a massive thing in this tournament. We know this. But I think this is the side of the table where you're going to see that probably truly become a factor, more so than the Liga MX side.
No, for sure. If you look at the teams that are 4 points right now, Minnesota United are 4 points. They take on Atletico San Luis. So, I mean, I feel like with San Luis, the way they are right now, if you're Minnesota, you have to be fancying your chances against them. So, Minnesota right now are on 7 goals scored, 4 conceded. So their goal differential is 3. They're going to be looking to put a lot of goals up on San Luis, Atletico San Luis. So that's their objective. LA Galaxy versus Santos Laguna. Santos Laguna are on 0 points. They have yet to win a match, yet to get a result in this tournament. Santos Laguna. LA Galaxy, same thing. They're going to be looking to stack up goals, win by as much as possible. If you look at the Galaxy, they scored 6 goals this season, or 6 goals on this tournament. That being said, though, here's the caveat. They just won one of the 2 matches in regulation, so they're going to want a regulation win because that's the first tiebreaker. Crew Leon, Orlando Necaxa, Cincy versus Chivas, and then Red Bulls Juarez. Juarez, like you mentioned, are at 5 points. So maybe the matchup between Juarez and Red Bulls isn't as favorable for Red Bulls as they would have liked. But again, Tyler, if you look at, tiebreakers, first one was wins in regulation, goal differential, most goals scored and fewest goals conceded. If you take a look at the standings as they are right now in MLS, only 2 teams, the Sounders and Portland, of course, are on 6 points. So they've won both of their matches. This could come down to goal differential, as you said, and that's going to be an incentive for teams to have 4 points to, again, put as many past the opposing goalkeeper as possible to make
Yeah.
sure that they have as high a goal differential as possible, because regulation wins for those 4-point teams won't really come to play.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, looking at the MLS side of it, if I had to make a prediction right now, the top 4, I think the ones that go through, I think you're still going to see Seattle and Portland. Pretty obvious. And I'm going to go out on a limb here. And I'm going to say it's going to be Minnesota. And I think the Galaxy hop in. I think Miami drops it.
Yeah. I think the loss of Messi is just too much to overcome. I really do. And yeah, I'll have to say Seattle and Portland as well. Don't count the Crew. I'll just say that. Don't count the Crew. The Crew could have something up their sleeves as well. I mean,
Yeah,
they're used
they're
to
playing Leon.
Yeah. So they're used to playing high stakes matches. Galaxy are certainly a team that could get through. Certainly Orlando City. So I feel like those 4 teams, Minnesota, Galaxy, Columbus, Orlando City, I fancy either of their chances to make it through. Cincinnati against Chivas, maybe. Goal differential isn't super high for Cincinnati. Red Bulls, same thing. They haven't been able to score as much. They've only scored twice. Goal differential is at 1. So I don't know if I like their chances. But again, if you look at Minnesota, Galaxy, Columbus, Orlando City, I feel like they have the best chance of getting by. I think Miami, that loss of Messi will be too much for them to overcome. But we'll see. It's going to be a pretty interesting next few days here in Leagues Cup to see which MLS teams can punch their ticket in the knockout stage.
Yeah, and to kind of lay it all out, you touched on a lot of them, but I mean, between, let's see, what is this, August 6th?
Yes.
Yes, August 6th, and these dates are off, and it's driving me insane. What is going on with this? Oh my God, this is irritating me. All right. You have at 7:30 the Columbus Crew Leon game, and then the Toluca New York City game. 8, Montreal Puebla, which kind of whatever. 8:30, Dynamo Pachuca. 10, Mazatlan and San Diego. And then 10:30, Tigres and LAFC, which if you just want a fun one to watch, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, it may not have a whole lot of sway on the tournament, but that should be a fun one.
Yeah.
And then the next night, you have Orlando Necaxa at 7. And then at 7:30, you have the Gonzalo Pineda derby.
Right.
At this point is a meaningless match for both teams because there is no chance that Atlanta or Atlas can make it out. Freaking teams that start with AT.
Yeah.
So if you want something that is going to be the unsponsored at the moment drunk uncle match of the week, that is the one to watch.
There you go.
It's going to be ridiculous.
There you go.
But right after that, you do have, it's actually the same time, same kickoff, Miami and Pumas. So that's an important one. Minnesota, San Luis, which is at 8:30. That's also an important one. Club America and Timbers, also a very important one. Salt Lake, Querétaro, which is not really whatever. And then Seattle, Tijuana at the very end of the night. So Wednesday's your day. You're muted. You're still muted. Still muted. You got
There we go.
There we go.
A lot of matches on Wednesday with that'll have consequences to the top of the table. And then moving on to Thursday, you have Cincy versus Chivas going on, Red Bulls Juarez, which you mentioned already, and then LA Galaxy Santos Laguna, the matches that really mean something, really mean the most. Colorado have not even half a chance. I mean, they're on 3 points. Barring some miracle, they're not making it through. So you're just hoping for something to happen weird if you're Colorado. including a win, and then Monterrey, Charlotte are out of the tournament, or they have no chance of making the knockout stage. Monterrey right now, I think they do have a chance of making the knockout stage. They are on right now. Monterrey are on 2 points, so they have a fighter's chance of making it, depending on how other results happen. So there you go.
Yeah, that lays it all out for the next couple of days. I will say my one big surprise of the tournament has been Cruz Azul after winning Champions Cup,
Yeah,
dominating Champions Cup, and then to come here and get dunked on by Seattle 7-0
yeah,
and just crap the bed entirely. I don't know that it's like a hangover situation. I just think they're too talented for that, or if they just didn't care about this tournament. It's
yeah.
kind of what it feels like. I don't know. I mean, obviously, we've had this discussion. This tournament will never be fully fair until it is played in both the U.S. and Mexico and Canada, to be fair.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't feel like they really came to play, though.
Not a good start for Nicolas Lacamon to his tenure with Cruz Azul. I'll say that. Um, they came into the tournament with 2 draws in the win, and now are looking at crashing out of the tournament. I feel like, again, they look like they have no chance of making it actually to the knockout stage. So Cruz Azul having a tough time of it. Any surprises in MLS? Any teams in MLS that you thought would get further than they did, though?
I think
I feel like San Diego FC is up there.
Yeah,
San
that's
Diego FC are
definitely
on 0 points.
that's definitely a big one. For me, the other one I would probably say I would kind of go back and forth on this, but I'd probably say
Yeah.
Charlotte. I actually thought Charlotte would handle themselves a little bit
Yeah,
better.
a good shout. It's a good shout. But now Charlotte are on 1 point through 2 matches, and again, have no chance of making it to the knockout stage. So
Yeah.
their eyes are fixed on possibly playing some youngsters and just looking toward the rest of MLS and getting to the playoffs. So that's Leagues Cup. That's where we stand right now.
Yeah. LAFC, I would say to a degree, maybe.
Mm,
But I mean, they played Mazatlan and Pachuca, and then now
yeah,
on Tigres. That was always going to be tough. So
yeah,
not too much hate for LAFC on that one. But
right.
all right, cool. So that is Leagues Cup, and then MLS will resume soon. So again, we're kind of diving back into it, maybe slower. We'll hit on a lot more of the MLS stuff as they return to league play next week.
Yeah.
But what is your, out of all the ones that we talked about, what is your match to watch of the week?
For Leagues Cup?
Yeah, I guess we'll just stick with Leagues Cup since we're not really diving into MLS as a whole right now.
Yeah. I'll say for Leagues Cup, I'm looking at Inter Miami versus Pumas. That's a big match for both sides. It's only bigger for Miami because they're looking to prove, hey, we can win without Messi. Pumas are on 5 points, 1 point back of Tigres. 4 teams on 5 points in Liga MX. So it's going to be really a knockdown, drag-out fight for both teams down there in South Florida. Winner pretty much books their spot in the knockout stage. And can Inter Miami show up for the match even without their star, or will Pumas spoil the party? So Inter Miami Pumas is my match to watch for this round 3 of phase 1 of Leagues Cup.
I'm going to go with the Minnesota San Luis game. I think that one is, we kind of talked about it, but it could really make a big difference with the way that the MLS side plays out.
Right.
Minnesota's been really good this year.
Yeah.
Overall. They're going up against a team that, if you just look at the paper, you look at what's happened in the past few matches, it doesn't look the best for them. But this team can score goals. And I think Minnesota cannot come into this one and treat it with anything but 100%.
Right.
Or they run the risk of some other things not going their way and then them getting knocked out. So I want to see them come out and play hard. I want to see them come out and play like this is a final, because it could be. This could be their last attempt at the tournament. And it's kind of a weird thing to say considering where they're at, but you got to remember it's only the top 4 that make it out in each side.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that one will be fun. And I think you'll hopefully see a side of Minnesota that you have maybe seen glimpses of this season, but maybe haven't fully seen. And if they do make it out of this, I think that could propel them and give them a lot more confidence going forward when MLS play returns.
No, for sure. Hopefully it doesn't crash their season, because we see that happen before our team. Yeah, their season just kind of goes down the drain after Leagues Cup. But yeah, should be some interesting matches going on in these next few days here. And then, like you said, MLS back to play on Saturday. Several matches on the table for Saturday as the entire league gets back to MLS play.
Absolutely. So with that, guys, and again, for first timers watching on TikTok, welcome. We appreciate you guys being here. Brett saying San Diego, Vancouver on Saturday, and then Orlando, Miami on Sunday. Those are 2 very good shouts for MLS matches. Definitely. Yeah, TikTok, we are streaming on there as well. So if you are watching there, go to our YouTube channel. We would truly appreciate it if you go to Scarves and Spikes, the YouTube channel, and I'm not going to say it, hit the like button and subscribe. That would help us out immensely. That really does. And then beyond that, we are Scarves in Spikes on X/Twitter, Scarves and Spikes everywhere else. And go check out the website, scarvesandspikes.com. Have all of our Atlanta United mainly coverage, but soccer in and around the Southeast coverage as well. Premier League Summer Series came through yesterday here at the Bins. So we had a couple articles go out on that. And y'all join the Patreon. We have a Patreon again, especially for TikTok folks that do not know this. Patreon.com/Scarves and Spikes. We've got a couple of different tiers. We are working on some kind of updates and revisions to that we're going to talk about, later on down the road. But everybody that's at what they're at now, be grandfathered in. Not a concern there, but it helps us with our coverage, not only of MLS, but Atlanta United, all the stuff we do as a whole. Get you into our Discord, which is amazing. We have a ton of fun in there. Get you access to our watch-alongs. And then again, the different tiers. We have all kinds of other coverage and exclusives and everything else on there. So if you're not part of it, patreon.com/Scarves and Spikes.
Yeah, I'm at SH Rights on X, SidH.soccer on Instagram and Threads. Tyler's at ATL Pilgrim on all social media platforms.
Indeed.
I think that's it.
That is it. Cue the music.
Music's not working.
Oh no!
Oh my gosh!
TikTok, man, I'm telling you,
it's broken.
Yeah.
Cold exit here.
Cold exit.
Irish goodbye.
Rest in peace music.
We'll edit it in.
Leave it like it is.
Yeah.
TV shows do this when like a main character dies, and it's just like exit.
Just to be clear, no one has died.
No.
From the Scarves and Spikes crew.
But the music has died. And
just never started.
See y'all on Wednesday. No, Wednesday for the game. Thursday for the show.